Crushing defeat, MU fans do the unthinkable for Amorim. 32 minutes of disaster for United. Zirkzee becomes the scapegoat, but 3 other players were just as bad. Man United and Newcastle make history together, but in 2 different ways. Neville, it's cruel to see Zirkzee leave the field to mocking cheers. Amidst the crisis, Manchester United fans still showed strong faith in head coach Ruben Amorim, who is facing enormous pressure in his efforts to revive the team. In the 0-2 loss to Newcastle at Old Trafford, Manchester United fans sent an unexpected message. Amorim's red and white army echoed from the Stretford End stands as the first half ended. This defeat marked 4 consecutive losses for United, dropping the team to 14th place in the Premier League standings by the end of 2024. Prior to this, Ruben Amorim had never lost 3 consecutive matches in his career. United played a lackluster first half, forcing coach Amorim to substitute Joshua Zirkzee off the field after just 32 minutes to avoid a bigger disaster. Boos were heard when referee Simon Hooper blew the whistle to end the first half, but the fans continued to show their support by chanting the name of the Portuguese head coach. Amorim had warned of a storm when he accepted the role at Manchester United in November. December proved to be a harsh test as the team suffered 6 losses in a short period. However, the 39-year-old coach called for patience and support from the fans, which he received despite the poor performances. The 9 matches in December didn't give Amorim enough time to fully implement his tactical ideas. The good news for him is that January will be less stressful, giving him more time to work on the training field. However, challenges still lie ahead. Next is an away trip to Anfield to face Liverpool, followed by an FA Cup match against Arsenal. Despite growing pressure, the support from the fans shows that Ruben Amorim still has a chance to turn things around in the new year. Manchester United endured 32 minutes of disaster against Newcastle, forcing head coach Ruben Amorim to make the inevitable decision, turning Joshua Zirkzee into the scapegoat. But the truth is, he was not the only one who deserved to be taken off early. The dreadful 32 minutes for Manchester United forced coach Ruben Amorim to act. With no other options, he had to make a change. Trailing 2-0 to Newcastle, Manchester United were fortunate not to concede further goals. The Red Devils were completely overwhelmed, dominated, and looked completely lost on the field. Ruben Amorim could not let this continue. As he signaled the substitution, Old Trafford immediately erupted in applause. Joshua Zirkzee was the player taken off, a decision fully justified with Kobbie Mainoo coming on to replace him. The Dutch forward could not complain about the decision. He had completed just 3 of his 9 passes and seemed lost playing in a new role, right behind Rasmus Højlund. Zirkzee walked straight down the tunnel disappointed. He must have felt like he became the scapegoat, shouldering all the blame for the team's poor performance. However, Zirkzee's substitution immediately improved Manchester United's performance. Though they still lost, at least they avoided an even more humiliating defeat. It wasn't just Zirkzee. Ruben Amorim could have substituted 3 more players if he had been more decisive. Or one of these 3 could have taken Zirkzee's place as the scapegoat. First, Casemiro. This was his first loss after 8 consecutive starts for United. But it certainly wasn't a memorable match for him. He missed a clear chance right before halftime, and had someone else replaced him, perhaps a goal would have followed. Casemiro's weaknesses were evident as he partnered with Christian Eriksen. Next was Christian Eriksen. Gary Neville shared on Sky Sports that he never wanted to see Casemiro and Eriksen start together again, and many fans agreed. This was the midfield pair that was overwhelmed in the 0-4 loss to Palace earlier this year. Eriksen lacked mobility and aggression, and was too easily overpowered by physically stronger opponents. Finally, Lisandro Martinez. Wearing the captain's armband, Lisandro Martinez had a forgettable game. He was outpaced by Joelinton in the second goal for Newcastle. Martinez's form has been unstable over the past month, and fans' confidence in him is waning. With Lenny Yoro on the bench, it wouldn't be surprising if Amorim made a bigger decision and substituted Martinez as early as the 30th minute. The 0-2 loss to Newcastle at Old Trafford marked United's 5th defeat in the last 6 Premier League matches. This disappointing result left the Red Devils in 14th place in the standings, just 7 points clear of the relegation zone. Manchester United and Newcastle United made history at Old Trafford in 2 completely opposite ways. reflecting the decline of the Red Devils and the significant progress of the team from the Northeast. Manchester United and Newcastle United both created historic moments at Old Trafford, but in entirely contrasting ways. While Manchester United continues to fall into crisis with a series of terrible records, Newcastle delivered a memorable performance, establishing their new position in the Premier League. Man United, unforgettable records. The 0-2 loss to Newcastle was not just a defeat, it marked a series of dreadful records for a club as prestigious as Manchester United. It's worth noting that this was the first time since 1962 that the Red Devils lost 5 matches in a single month in the Premier League. The last time this happened, the world hadn't even seen humans set foot on the moon, and England hadn't yet won the World Cup. Moreover, this defeat also marked United's 3rd consecutive loss at home in the Premier League, something that hadn't happened since February 1979. Even worse, the Red Devils failed to score in all 3 of these matches, tying an infamous record from May 2015. Another statistic left fans groaning. This was the first time United lost their final match of the year in 2 consecutive seasons since the 1980s. In 2023, they lost to Everton, and this year it was Newcastle who inflicted the pain on the Red Devils. Despite only recently arriving at Old Trafford, coach Ruben Amorim faces immense pressure as he has been unable to improve the team's performance, forcing him to consider changing formations, as the 3-4-3 system has proven ineffective. These unfortunate records reflect not only a decline in form, but also raise major questions about the club's long-term strategy. On the other hand, Newcastle United made a historic milestone at Old Trafford. The 2-0 win over Manchester United was the first time they had beaten the Red Devils away in the Premier League since December 2013, when Johan Cabaye scored the only goal. Before that, Newcastle's last victory at Old Trafford was back in 1972. In terms of Premier League matches, the Magpies just secured their biggest margin of victory at Old Trafford. Newcastle's performance, especially in the first half, was described as destructive by Gary Neville on Sky Sports. Eddie Howe's team scored 2 goals in less than 20 minutes, courtesy of Alexander Isak and Joelinton, establishing their dominance over the hosts. This victory was also historically significant for Newcastle, as they are emerging as a new force in the Premier League. Although Old Trafford had previously been a place of painful memories for Newcastle in title races, from the 1995-96 Premier League defeat to the 2023 FA Cup final, they have now broken that tradition. Manchester United and Newcastle made history from the same match, but in 2 opposite ways. For Manchester United, this is a clear sign of the decline of a club that once ruled England. In contrast, Newcastle shows that they are not just a phenomenon, but are truly rising to become a formidable opponent in the Premier League. This contrast is not only about a single match, but also reflects the development trajectories of the 2 clubs. Manchester United must quickly find a way to bounce back if they don't want to fall deeper into crisis. Meanwhile, Newcastle has every reason to be confident that they are building a strong future, ready to compete both domestically and internationally. Thanks for tuning in to MU Daily Zone. We hope you enjoyed today's updates on all things Manchester United. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your fellow Red Devils, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll always stay updated with the latest news. Until next time, stay passionate, stay united, see you soon.